Hey, how's it going, guys? TND coming back at you. Today's video is going to be a little different, so I just wanted to start with a giant disclaimer. I am not a game developer. I have no experience working in game dev, nor do I have any significant experience working in adjacent fields, such as computer programming or network management. The thoughts expressed in this video are simply from a guy who plays Destiny 2 on a regular basis and nothing more. With that being said, we need to talk about the DIM problem. This season, players have noticed more network issues than usual, and the latest serious example of this happened in the last couple weeks of 2022, which according to community manager DMG on Twitter was somehow caused in part by the new exotic pulse rifle revision 0 in the way it was interacting with Destiny's API system, which raises the question, what even is the Destiny API? Well, the Bungie Network Platform API, or Application Programming Interface, is a networking system that allows users to retrieve data from Destiny's game data. Things like player armor, weapons, stats, and activity completions can all be tracked and accessed using these API resources. This access is publicly available on Bungie's website, by the way. Simply fill out this section here and you can have your very own application using the Bungie API systems. This publicly available system is the bedrock on which all of your favorite D2 third-party apps are built from. D2 Armor Picker, Light.gg, D2 Gunsmith, the Charlemagne Discord bot, the list goes on. And while these other third-party applications are no doubt hugely important to the overall user experience of the game, no third-party application feels as irreplaceable as Destiny Item Manager, or DIM for short. In essence, DIM is the ultimate inventory management tool. In a looter game where you're constantly juggling gear and items between 3 characters, your postmaster, and let's be real, a pretty disorganized vault, DIM streamlines processes that take infinitely longer to do within the game itself. Say you're on the final boss of Spire of the Watcher and your team needs somebody on Galahorn. Only problem is that I'm on my Warlock and my G-Horn just happens to be on my Titan at the moment. With DIM, that's no problem at all, as I can just click and drag that guy over to my Warlock and there it is. Took about 5 seconds. Now what would this process look like if, I don't know, say the API system was taken completely offline for several days? Well, in that case, I have to switch my character in-game, load into the tower or helm, put my rocket launcher in the vault, and then switch back to my Warlock. At this point, I need to make another trip to the tower or helm, grab the G-Horn, then load back in with my teammates who've already placed a rally flag on the ground, because of course they did. Easy 6 FaceTime, boys. To say that one of these processes is slightly more streamlined than the other would be the understatement of the century. Oh, and did I mention DIM also has an entire loadout system built into it? With literally one click, you can equip all of your armor, mods, transmog, shaders, everything. This is a system that Bungie has stated will be coming in-game with the Lightfall expansion, so I'm not sure if this means Season 20 specifically, or if this is just sometime during the next year. But until that system is rolled out, DIM is by far the best option if I want to switch from my Stasis Turret spam build to my Starfire Fusion Nades build. Your options for swapping loadouts in-game are, I don't know, I guess have a whole set of 5 armor pieces ready to go for every single build, because swapping the armors, the mods, and all that takes literally forever. When the API goes down, I am basically stuck with whatever builds and weapons I have on me at the time, because inventory management in this game sucks so bad that the far more compelling alternative is basically just stop playing the game until it's back up. Destiny Item Manager is more important to D2 than any third-party app I've ever seen from another video game. Let me know in the comments if you have any better examples than this out there. I'd love to hear them. Make sure to hit that subscribe button while you're down there. I got a pretty cool endgame Warmind cell build coming later this week, assuming the API is still up. So that brings us back to the recent situation where, as far as we've been told, Bungie essentially had the option to either disable the Revision 0 exotic pulse rifle or pull the API entirely. And since this is the week between Christmas and New Year's, aka the week where everyone uses the rest of their leftover vacation time, they made sure to set the record straight by telling everyone not to expect DIM to be up until Monday at the earliest. Needless to say, players took that with a fairly measured response, to say the least. And these replies are just the tip of the iceberg. Anytime Bungie needs to bring the API down for any reason, the entire flow of Destiny 2 comes to a screeching halt. Swapping weapons now takes 15 minutes. Hell, I can't even see which guns are on which characters, so have fun figuring out which one of your guys has the Wither Horde on right now. And don't get me started with loadouts. Sorry, pal, you're stuck on that Stasis Titan loadout for the next week. Have fun out there, Mr. Freeze. Now, I should say here that the API was not down all weekend, as it was brought back online that later Friday evening, but this constant threat of a single networking issue resulting in the complete and total crippling of how players play the game does beg the question. Why not just make DIM part of the game? And just to make things clear, DIM is just made by some dudes. I highly recommend donating to them if they've made your life better in the game. I'll leave a link to their page in the description. I mean, again, I am not a programmer, but if you're running a looter game with this much of a demand in regards to inventory management, wouldn't streamlining all of this be one of your top priorities? I'm not trying to throw too much shade here since it's a series that's near and dear to my heart, but even the latest main series Pokemon games, for all of their problems, and they have a lot of problems, eventually learned that it was dumb to force players to go to Pokemon centers in order to swap their teams around. Instead, they just made it so that your boxes were accessible from anywhere. So why can't we access our vaults all the time? Why can't I pull up a menu and pull a weapon from one character to the one that I'm currently currently on. Is it really that difficult from a development perspective to add these completely, insanely important aspects to the game to, you know, the game itself? Because at the moment, Bungie's got to be thanking their lucky stars every day that DIM even exists. Because Lord, would I not want to see what this game looks like had that app not existed in the first place. Oh, and that new loadout system being implemented in Lightfall? Well, that might not be available either when the API goes down. Like, what are we even doing here? I wouldn't even call these quality of life features. This is a looter game. People gotta be able to move their loot around in a way that makes them not want to stop playing entirely. The best option I can think of right now might be the simplest, just to add DIM to the game itself. Same browser layout, same app, same everything, but with official Bungie support. It's far too important for players to be forced to live without it. And if this is ultimately an API issue, then they need to get a new back-end system in place, disconnect the inventory side so that the only way that people wouldn't be able to access DIM's features would be because the entire game is offline. There just has to be a better way to do it than this. Player sentiment isn't exactly at an all-time high right now, and things like this send a message to players that the developers simply don't care. And I know that's not true, so hopefully they have some further communication on this matter, because I think it's an important thing for them to get under control as much as anything else that's wrong with the game at the given moment. Anyway, those are my general thoughts on the current API and DIM situation we got going on lately. Sorry for the rant. I promise I am not Mr. Complainer Guy. There are D2 creators out there with way more experience and way more clout that are better suited to give these kinds of opinions, but I felt like this was something that needed to be discussed. Also, my community made me do it. Blame those guys. I do appreciate the support from everyone as we inch closer to 1,000 subs. I think 2023 is going to be a massive year for this channel. Make sure you subscribe to catch all of my latest Destiny 2 content, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Happy hunting, Guardians.